put it on the YouTube channel after. Get some people to watch the replay. All right, cool. Awesome, guys. Actually, before I start, you guys can all hear me, correct? Type in 1 in the chat box if you can all hear me. Okay. Awesome. Cool. So we have a very special guest today. So we've actually met in person at Brand Builder Summit. And we actually talked before that. You have the tool called Zone Tracker, which is something we can talk about later on in the interview. But Yves is just like, it's a really cool story of how he started his brand. They first launched HeroClip on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Then they're doing really well on Amazon, and they're doing a lot of Facebook ads. So he's very, very knowledgeable in basically all the e-commerce platforms, versus us, for Amazon sellers, we are very good on Amazon. We don't know a whole lot about Facebook ads and so on and so forth. And that's actually one topic that I really, really want to pick Yves' bring on today is Facebook ads, because I know that he's very passionate about Facebook ads. So welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks. It was nice to run into you in person after chatting online before that. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, do you want to maybe just share with the audience like a little bit of story about, how you got into e-commerce? I know you have a PhD, so you must be one smart dude. Like, how did you get into e-commerce, and maybe just like share a little bit of your background story?
Yeah, of course. And well, either really smart or just failing a lot and learning from it.
Yeah, that too.
Well, like my big shift was from basically a big career change. That's where it went into like e-commerce and marketing route, because I was in academia for a long time, and that's including all of my different degrees. So it was over 10 years of doing research and studying and kind of like very like intellectual type of work. It was very interesting. But at the same time, there are too many moments where I'm like, is this the right thing to do or not? Like, am I gonna quit? Just like having those thoughts like way too often. And also like, what kind of impact is it having? Like, is it impactful? Like, just too many thoughts coming like that over the course of like 10 years. So it took me a really long time to take action and like just quit from that. And that was after I got my PhD. So like I was like really close of getting it, but I'm like, we're a couple of years before that. I'm like, I don't want to finish it. Like, I just have to go do something else. So there was like rough couple of years, but like I ended up finishing, and now like I have it under my name, and like when other people see it, it's like relevant for that. But like to me, it's just like a few letters on there. Like I wish I would have started entrepreneurship and marketing and business like 10 years ago. Like I feel like I may have even gotten farther rather than being in it for just several years, like the past couple of years. So it was like this big shift from just doing one thing and then something else. And it was really interesting what I was doing. Like it was researching environmental science, how these different connections between microbes and society and just like what's happening in the world, but from a scientific standpoint. So it was always interesting. And it helped me what I know today in terms of the processes, how I use for marketing, whether it's researching information, understanding data. So there's some takeaways from that, even though I don't do anything now in terms of like biology and ecology. Like I don't take that knowledge, but it's how I approach connecting different disciplines together, different sciences, different ways of thought about marketing and connecting different disciplines that way. So I definitely took that away of everything that I'm doing today. So that's kind of like the background of where I'm coming from. And the shift was where I just decided like, all right, that's enough. I gotta quit. And it was just perfect timing where me and my wife, we were in Orange County at the time after like all of my degrees that was in Arizona. And we're like, let's just go to Seattle. Like we've been thinking about it for a long time. So we kind of like quit our jobs, and within like a couple of weeks, like made the decision to like move. So not the smart way. Like we didn't get jobs and move. We kind of like moved, and then we're like, all right, what do we do now? So it was but that's where timing is interesting, where we moved and I found out about the Amazon world, like right when we moved.
When was this? When did you move?
This was like around 3 years ago.
Okay. So 2015.
Yeah, around that time. So found out about the whole Amazon like private label world, and like oh, like you can do this, like you can have your own brand. And as soon as I found out, like I took action. Like I launched my own business like right away, and just like went onto the Washington website and like just like took action. I'm like, all right, like I'm not getting paid right now. I was in this academic salary for a long time, which is like super low. basically living like students. So like took action and dove deep into the Amazon world. And so that was several years ago, and then it led to different opportunities. And one thing I have to clarify, and I know like I get this a lot from people, that Hero Clip, it's not actually my brand, even though I talk about it a lot and like all of this data, but like I lead all of the marketing part of it. So like the CEO, like she invented the actual product, and so that happened several years ago, and I was brought onto the team almost 2 years ago, and then basically leading everything that's e-commerce and Amazon related, all of the advertising. So like I kind of see it where just I have this room to experiment with data, and then I don't have to deal with things like inventory and operations and all of that. So like I can actually focus on certain areas, and then other opportunities of just talking about Facebook ads and being in different Facebook groups and different groups of helping others. And then like the Zon Tracker tool kind of came after that fairly recently, just because we're actually using it for our brand. So there was like that transition from like academia into just diving in right away into the whole Amazon and marketing world.
So let me get this right. Before 2015, you don't have any e-commerce experience.
So what I did, pretty much no, but what I did have is my family in Arizona had a carpet cleaning and water damage restoration business. So like my dad and my older brother, and I was helping with some SEO, just like Google search engine optimization. And again, kind of like a couple of hours a week type of thing. So I just kind of like knew that it's out there, but like not how to like optimize it. It's just like spending like $10 per day. So I kind of like knew that platform. I was doing that for several years for my family. So that would be the bulk of it.
Right. So just kind of understanding the timeline though. So you moved to Seattle from Arizona, which I guess you like the rain better than the sunshine.
Well, the trees and the greenery and the lakes for sure.
Usually it's like people move the other way around, but I haven't heard people move out of LA into like Washington. For those of you guys who don't get it, it's like it rains a lot. I mean, even you're from Seattle, I'm from Vancouver. We're only like 2.5 hours drive, so it's very, very close, and we get the very similar climate, and it rains a shitload during the wintertime. Like 20 days of the year, 20 days of the month. So anyway, so 2015, you got into Amazon private label. You started your own brand on Amazon. Like how did that go? How did the initial stages go?
Yeah, that's where I was just learning everything, just being in all kinds of groups, just absorbing all of this like free information out there. And I was all kinds of products like essential oils, coconut oils, just like a bunch of like soaps and like this heavy stuff and not profitable stuff because I didn't know what I was doing. So like and there was like a couple sales a day started coming in, and it was basically 6 months into it where I was learning it and I was starting to do things right. But also like my wife was pregnant at the time, and like our baby was going to be born. So my wife's like, all right, that's 6 months of playing around. You're not really making any money. Like go get a real job. But being in it for 6 months, I just like failed out a lot, and at least like knew that world and experimenting with like a little bit of Facebook ads and some like influencer marketing and affiliate marketing, just like a little bit of everything. Right. And I think that's what my previous experience helped, where I like try a whole bunch of different things. And like I know later on, and I'm gonna like mention this tip, something where marketers and entrepreneurs like to try like way too much stuff, but I felt like I have this little strategy that's been helping me with that, and maybe I'll mention that later, of like trying too much where you're almost like not doing something effectively. Awesome. Like I know that's a big problem, but I kind of have this little thing that's working for me doing that.
So you guys all gotta stay till the very end to find that out. So awesome, man. So how did the Hero Clip even come about? Like how did you?
Yeah. So then when my own private label just kind of like I didn't take it to the next level, I started looking for opportunities, and there was somebody that was working at Microsoft for a long time, started her own agency, and I was the first hire, like a marketing agency. So then we were just like having clients doing all kinds of general marketing stuff for them. So I was doing that for about a year, and that was getting me more experience on like bigger budgets and actually like implementing marketing for companies. And then one of our clients was Hero Clip, and it was just like doing some Amazon stuff initially. And then the CEO, Mina Yu, she's like, I really like you. We just got some investors, so like let's bring you on full time. And like it grew from there.
Oh wow! So she literally stole you from the marketing company.
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn. And then you're like, all right, I'm getting a better opportunity, probably better pay, I'm out of here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a good transition where in the marketing company, like we're transitioning there also how we were working, and then with HeroClip, it's startup world and it's very flexible. I have opportunities to build up my own name. I'm always going to different conferences and like growing with the community while also like growing the brand as well. So it's just like this very like interesting mix, like not a conventional type of company.
Right, totally. So how much is if you're comfortable in sharing, how much is Hero Club doing like in numbers? Are you able to say or?
I can stay general, but like so for sure over the past couple of years, we're always like doubling or quadrupling. So it's not
Wow.
like a regular company where we're growing by like 10%, 20%. And so it was over a year ago, like before I was joined, we were at like 500,000 per year. And then it was 1 million per year. And then now it's like, depends how Q4 is going to be,
Right,
but it's
right.
going to be somewhere between 2 and 4 million. Like who knows? Like probably somewhere in the middle. So basically, we're like doubling every year, and that's a combination of retail and online on all of our channels, and
Mhm.
and I would say that's split kind of like equally across the main sections of Amazon, our own website, and then retail, meaning like we're in REI, Ace Hardware, like in actual physical stores.
And then you're just in charge of the e-commerce side, right? The retail is someone else who's managing that.
Yeah, we have a sales director. Again, we're like a small team, so it's very integrative. We're running digital marketing campaigns to get sales in REI, for example. That's like retail,
Hmm.
but we're kind of amplifying one channel with another part of the business model. We're using our email list to amplify like a listing that's on REI or other channels. That way, it's like retail related, but we like over the past year grew our list to over 70,000 people of just like subscribers or add to carts or people that know about the brand. So then we're like, all right, we're on REI, yay! Can you guys go tell other customers about how you feel about the product? And then like right away, it's like 50 reviews on REI listings. So then it's like their own shoppers see that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So kind of like complementing the brands or the different channels.
Right. So okay, so let's get into the juicy part and the stuff that I'm honestly very excited to pick your brain on. And the reality is this, and I'm sure you know this as well, is as Amazon sellers, we're very, very comfortable on Amazon. We don't utilize a lot of external traffic off of Amazon, such as Google Ads, PPC, influencer marketing, this and that. And from the sound of things, I mean, I'm sure one of the ways that you guys have grown year over year by 100% is by implementing a lot of Facebook ads, a lot of other external traffic. So you're an Amazon seller, or you were an Amazon seller. And I guess you still are because you guys still sell on Amazon. If you can maybe guide us through kind of the step-by-step process of setting up a Facebook campaign, like if I really want to learn Facebook ads right now and apply it for my e-commerce business, for my Amazon brand, like where should I even begin? Like what should I do? What should my objectives be? If you can guide us through that, give us like a very quick crash course on Facebook ads for Amazon sellers specifically, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do exactly that. And there are other parts that are relevant to this that I'm not really going to go into. And that's like branding, content, the actual product, the offer, like research you have to do. Because as an Amazon brand or seller, like you've probably done some of that depending on how much you're focusing on branding. So some of those things are important and they're important for scaling even further. So like branding, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to kind of stick to Facebook ad strategy, how you would apply it. And then how you do the other things will determine the level of success you're going to have within Facebook ads, but I'm going to kind of stick within that part. So one of the things, and it also depends on what level you are, if you're just starting with Facebook ads and if you have any success on Amazon or not, because you're using social proof and brand proof from one channel to the other one. So the types of ads you're going to run on Facebook will possibly be affected by what you're putting in there, depending on your presence on Amazon. So if you're like doing really well on Amazon, that's going to give you more power of what you can say in the ads. But I'm going to stick a little bit general, kind of like someone that's like beginning, but they're starting to get momentum. So, and I see this like a big portion of users where maybe they're like under $1 million annual revenue on Amazon, but like over like 500,000, like somewhere in that range. I think this applies to the most people. And then if there's questions in the chat or follow-up, then that could be altered for depending on the level you're at.
Yeah, we'll take some questions at the end, guys.
Yeah, so
cool.
How I would start, and this is based on some of the mistakes that I'm seeing the most often of things that aren't working. So then that's why I always come back to this being as the number one thing. Mm-hmm. And that's where when somebody is creating a Facebook campaign or any type of opportunity for a potential customer to find out about you and ultimately purchase on Amazon, the testing is way too limited. People don't test enough variety in their Facebook ad. And what I mean by that, somebody creates one ad with a certain image of their product, or maybe even like some sort of lifestyle or product use shot with some copy in there. And then they do their targeting, like Amazon interest. And then people like clothing and babies, or let's say it's like baby clothing or something like that. They just like do those interests, have their image and their copy, and then they run that, and then they stay with that ad for a while. And then over time they see like, all right, it's not really having any success, or like maybe there's some sales coming in. It's like hard to track it. I can't really tell. Like maybe there's a little boost in Amazon sales, so I think it's working, but not really. But still, the point is that it's just like one ad, like maybe two types of ads, but that's just not enough variety. So the biggest starting point is first challenge yourself to have more variety of ads that you're going to test at the beginning. And a good starting point is like 10 ads. Like later on, like I would say, like start off with like 30 different variants and then turn off losers like very fast. But a good starting point is start off with 10 variations of your images and copy, because most of the time I see Amazon sellers starting with like 1 or 2 ads, and then very soon they make the decision Facebook ads aren't working, or they're not good enough at it, or they need to hire an agency, or there's like all of these different thoughts because it didn't work. So that's the first part, where as you're testing more images and creative, it's not just like, oh yeah, like just test everything and you're gonna find the winners, but it's more about you have to turn off things really fast as well. And as you're testing a variety of different ads, you're reaching different psychology of your consumers. So when I say 10 images, and let's say you're selling some sort of consumable, I don't mean 10 different pictures of a food on a plate. Let's say it's like something food related. So it's not like 10 different images of like different types of food. Like, no, you have to be 10 different psychologies, where one is like maybe not food related, but it's like a plate and you can't really tell what's on it, but it's like some sort of curiosity based image. And then another one where it's a lifestyle shot. There's like a table in the background, so it's kind of like kitchen or food related, but the lifestyle is somebody doing some activity. So again, the images and copy or videos have to reach different types of psychology. And right away with 10 ads, you're going to see what are the click-through rates, what are people engaging with. So your top ads are going to drive down the cost of your ad. Facebook is going to see that. Here's these 8 super crappy ads. So we're going to charge the advertiser a lot of money because the Facebook user is having a bad experience with them. But if you're only testing one ad, you're not going to know that. Like, is your ad really good? If you've been on Amazon for a really long time and you know your consumer really, really well, you might, with your first guess, have like a decent ad. But again, Facebook is a different audience, so you'll kind of have to test. So that would be like the number one starting point, is challenge yourself to have at least some variety in your initial tests.
So a quick question regarding that. I know that when it comes to Facebook ads, there's many different ways to do it. There's not really just one way that's like right. Seems like, so when you guys launch a new campaign, you test different ad copies and images first, because I know a lot of people they test the same ad copy and images but with different target market. So what would why, I guess my question is, why do you do that as opposed to test the same ad copy and images with different target market?
And one of the reasons is that, so there's targeting. Let's say you have really fine targeting with certain demographics of, let's say it's like hiking interest, or then there's like kayaking or like certain extreme sports. So if you're going to be targeting, they're certainly going to respond differently to different types of copy and images that you have. But if you stick to, let's say, just like very general targeting initially, where let's say it's just like outdoors overall. So like your audience is within that. If you have, let's say, like a camping product or something that's like generally in the area of outdoors, right, that whatever's in your copy will somehow resonate with like at least somebody in there or certain portions in there. So if you have copy you're starting out with an image and just one version, and then you're testing a bunch of audiences, like your copy may be like this factor that's making your entire test invalid, because like your copy may be so bad it's just like pushing like people away, or it's not resonating with them. So I kind of like doing it the other way, because the copy and the images, it's gonna resonate at a broader level, even if you're not very specific to somebody likes extreme type of kayaking, not just like normal type of kayaking, or whatever the targeting is. The copy will at least get psychologically and visually, because it's not specifically about the exact word in the copy that will make somebody purchase initially. That's super important later. Initially, it's all about navigating the Facebook algorithm, where you want to have the cheapest clicks possible. And again, it doesn't mean the cheapest clicks correlate with the most purchases, but it's more about narrowing down to ads based on these like visual and psychological, and how like most people think anyway of the types of creatives that you're using. So after you narrow down, then a later step is more important, where you're actually worrying about purchases and the audience that you're targeting. So I just feel like that step is important, where if you're kind of going from like really broad to very specific, like the targeting may not necessarily apply to like all of the copy, but like the copy has a more chance of applying to more of the targeting. So I think it's just kind of like that approach.
So like how wide would you start? Let's say if one of my products is vitamin C serum. So would you literally, for targeting, would you literally just type in like USA, women, like English as language, and beauty as interest? Like, is that like, or would you start using like competitors' brands?
Just a little bit more finer, just because I know if you put in beauty, it's still like way too big. But maybe like health and wellness, or kind of like a little bit smaller, but still very broad. Like I wouldn't go into like one specific like brand, because then you're gonna have an audience of like a couple million people. That's good, but I would be somewhere in like 5 to 10 million range. Even like a little bit more is fine, because in this first step, and this is kind of like the second part, where it's this misconception where you need to get sales right away. And ultimately, when you're narrowed down to your copy, you do want to get sales right away. You're making decisions based off if you're getting sales or not, and right away you're like turning off when they're not getting sales. But that's in the later phase. The initial phase is you want to put your best foot forward by choosing creatives that you know later on, when it's more important, you're actually increasing your budget, you're getting sales or not, and you're like turning off the ones that aren't getting sales. You like have your best foot forward in the next step. So this first step is, it's all about beating the Facebook algorithm and all of the other advertisers out there, and you do that by having higher clicks and higher click-through rate and lower cost per click. And the only way you can do that is just with enough variety just to like quickly narrow down, like here's the 2 ads that are working, very broad audience, but close enough interest so you know it's slightly relevant. And then in the next step is where you're going to be worrying about, all right, I narrowed it down. Now I'm going to be testing audiences and placements and different objectives, deliverability, manual bidding, automatic building, and then changing like certain words. Because if you have a certain sentence, let's say for us, it's like hang anything anywhere. You know, that's a pretty good tagline. Like it works for us. And that's like earlier on stages. But in later stages, you're making micro tweaks, because one word could make such a big psychological effect, like this trigger, that'll get someone to purchase or not. And it could be like, hang anything anywhere on the go, or hang just about anything anywhere. Again, it's like very slight variations, but like copywriters know this, and like psychology people, like marketers, that one word is going to make that huge difference. But this is later on testing. Like it's too much doing right away. That's when you already narrow down to the general visual and the general copy that's working better than a bunch of your other stuff.
Right. And then just a quick note as well, when you're doing the initial testing with those 10 different ad sets, right? Those 10 images and ad copies, you shouldn't, so it'll be like you can only change one variable, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. This is like a scientific approach where everything else is the same audience, all same images, and then you're testing different headlines. So then you can decide what is the best headline. And that could be like five of those variants. And then the other 5 is it's the same headline, but then you have like 5 different images. So you're kind of deciding the images. Again, if you want to stay to like 10 total variants in your tests.
Right. Now, what are some like the best practices when it comes to images, I guess? Do you recommend like creating a video first, or do you recommend the carousel ads, or do you recommend literally just putting, or I guess like your answer would be like, you got to test everything.
I wouldn't say test everything. Usually I say that, but the video has too many factors of deciding like which video is better, meaning that you could have 3 different videos, but if they're like different, just like different videos, there's like too many things going on psychologically for you to know, is it the first 2 seconds? Was it the call to action? Was it the product offering? So it's harder to test videos until later stages. Like once you narrow down, let's say copy that's working well, and like some audience targeting, like some bidding strategies, then you could try different videos and start implementing retargeting strategies as well. But first, like if you do very like short videos and they're similar, let's say it's like a 10-second video, but the only thing that's different is like the first 2 seconds or like the final like 2 seconds of the video, then that could be an actual valuable interpretation. You're like, all right, everybody was watching it, and then in the final 2 seconds, just the call to action was bad. People just, started watching the next video rather than taking action. And the same thing with the beginning, whether you're testing like thumbnails or the first like 1 or 2 seconds of the video, I've seen that makes a big difference because you're like either catching attention right away or you're not. And you can go different routes. Let's say you're going like a storytelling mood. The video could start off where like somebody's pointing at something. Like that's the first like second, and right away the people that are in storytelling mode, they're like, oh, like what is he pointing at? So they're kind of sticking on to see what is the second and third second of the video. Or you go a different route. You like right away show like your product. It's gonna exclude a lot of people, but it may catch attention some people. So kind of like just testing those couple of seconds for the video.
Right. So you wouldn't recommend video then? You would recommend image?
No, that would be a later stage. I would do images. Just there's too many factors with video, and yes, they're effective and usually more effective than images. But if someone is either like starting out or even having success on Amazon and starting with Facebook ads, it's just going to be too hard to interpret, and then you need a lot of videos, and like that's a lot of like production time or getting the videos. Like sure, there's ways of like growth hacking it and getting videos like really quick. Yeah. But let's say you do the image testing, you're going to know a certain image that's working well, or a couple of images. Then you could take that image, put it onto your website, see if it's going to work in your Amazon listing as well. Put that image as the beginning of your video, like not just the thumbnail, but make the image like the first 1 second of your video. So it's like the image is just like part of the video. Right. And so the image testing you'll kind of repurpose that in other ways as well.
So when it comes to image, do you guys just have a graphic designer in-house, or do you use a service that can create these Facebook ad images?
It's a really big mix. We do have a full-time in-house designer. He's doing like all our assets, but for retail as well and online. But one thing I really like to do before any campaign, and like we have a library now of assets, but it's asking different team members of just like them finding an image on Google somewhere. It's like, all right, here's this campaign. We want to do some sort of, let's say like we're launching a new like hero clip of the month or like a new campaign. So like here's our goal where we want people that have already bought to buy another one. And there's like exclusivity because we're only going to have a limited amount of units. So I ask everybody like, all right, just send me an image of what you think the ad should be. That way I get variety from people thinking in a different way. Because if I think of all 10 images, they're going to be biased based off how I think, and they all may be similar, and they're going to be like all, let's say like professional. Well, not me, that's a bad example. Let's say our designer is going to like put them, put all 10, and they're going to be like these super neat, professionally designed 10 images. But some of them are good where like I just like take a photo with my phone, like just I was going to say with an iPhone, but have iPhone anyway. Just like take a picture of just like a hero clip at a really weird angle, or let's say whatever product you're selling, just take a weird angle. And this is more like a tactic you can implement right away, and it may give a big boost, at least kind of like on that click-through perception. And it's not clickbait, but you're going to like navigate the Facebook algorithm. Just take a picture with your phone of your product or something relevant to your product with a super weird angle, meaning like from top above where you can see the product and you see like some other relevant product next to it. So let's say you have a product that's like sleep related. Just take a picture of like a pillow, like that's on the corner of the bed at some sort of weird angle where someone's like, oh yeah, that's like a bed. I think that's a bed. and then there's some sort of like bottle next to it or some sort of like clothing piece next to it, but people can't tell. But the weird angle drives curiosity. People are going to click it. It's going to increase your click-through rates. Facebook is going to tell, oh, this is a good ad. People are clicking on it. It's going to drive down your costs, and you're going to get more people to the next step, which is your website or your Amazon listing, and then that's going to sell the customer. First, you just want to get more people to your listing. So to answer your original question, it's a mix for the testing, as diverse as possible. And from different databases online where you can just like buy images of relevant content, like that too. So a combination.
That's actually super interesting. That's a great hack, by the way. It's just like increasing that click-through rate by having like weird angles and generating a lot more curiosity. So I hope you guys take note of that. That was awesome. Okay, cool. So 10 steps or 10 ad sets. How long, like you said, kill the ones that are not performing fast. What's fast? How many days?
Yeah, so there's two things about this. You could do super growth hacky way, and then you can do like a little bit more confidence, more comfortable way. And the super hacky one, and I found this out after I did something for a really long time, like 7 days or like for like 2 weeks. And then when I look at the data, like individual, like day by day, mostly the patterns of day by day are similar to what it looks like across the whole time period. Meaning that if you do something for 1 day and you make decisions based off $5 per ad, so let's say you have the 10 ads, let's say like 10 ad sets, 10 ads, 1 ad per 1 ad set, so 10 total variants, $5 per day, so it's $50 total per day. So just like the math is simple. If you make decisions that same day, like meaning you turn off the 7 worst ones, you keep the 3 best ones, that decision is going to be very similar to if you let that run for 10 more days, or if you increase the budget tenfold and for 1 day. Again, your confidence is going to be like 70%, but still, let's say if you're choosing those 3 best ones, like probably 1 or 2 of those are going to be near the top, like every single day. Like sure, one of them is going to be like crappy for what reason a certain day. It's going to average out over the 10 days. So you can go like, if you just need data fast, you can go that route where lowest amount of like the budget for a quick, like right now I do a mix where I just have more variants and then just turn off things quicker. And now I just start off with like $20 per day or like even like $50 per day budget per ad. So that way, within a few hours, I know, like psychologically, are people clicking it or not? There's like something wrong with it. And the part is that this kind of like from like thinking about statistics and data, where it's a sample size issue. Like the more data you have, the more confidence it is, and like the more variants you have, the longer it's going to take you to have confidence. But let's say you have 10 ads and you just have a super crappy ad, and after $5, you're going to get like 1 click on it. That's like $1 per click. And like you might, like sometimes I get that data, just such a bad ad, like nobody clicks it. And then another one where it's such a good ad, like on your $5, like you just get like so many more clicks. You're going to get like 50 clicks or even like 100 clicks. So then you know your cost per click is down to like 30 cents or like 10 cents. Like you're really bringing it down, and you're going to see that difference within hours, right? If it's a super crappy ad or super good ad, you're going to know that right away. I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch in between where you're like, all right, this one got 4 clicks and 7 clicks at a low budget. That's where you need to like let it run longer. But the more variants you have, the more chance you have of finding those winners where it's like, all right, what's going on? This one has like 20 clicks while the rest have like 10 to 5. And that's basically what happened to us. We tested so much variety, and some were just like way out there in terms of click rates. Like we're like, all right, like this is weird. We're getting 15% click-through rates. And those are like still ads that we're using today because we know something psychological about them. But that's because like during this test, we tested 100 variants. So again, not 10, but we kind of went like more extreme but a good starting point is 10, right? That's already better than 1 or 2.
Right. So actually, Nikki has a really good question, and I had the exact same question as Nikki. Is there a certain day that is better for testing that you find? Like a date during the week and time?
So I haven't tested it in terms of do testing days translate better to like full interpretations if we have more of that data. And that's probably because Well, one, I have relatively like low patience. If I have an idea, I like create an ad right away, or like have like someone on my team like create ads right away, so I can get data right away. So like for me, that's more advantageous rather than like, all right, let me wait till Saturday to run the test. So I don't know it because I haven't tested it for effectiveness, and just because we're like always running ads, I'm like, all right, like let's run them. If we have a campaign coming up that we know in like 2 weeks, some sort of campaign or brand awareness, then we kind of plan ahead of time, but not in the context of like, all right, let's start it on Tuesday. And that's probably because we haven't looked at our data enough to know that a certain day converts better. And I think that's brand and product specific. For us, we're so versatile. We kind of like, we reach different types of demographics audiences on different days for different product uses. So we just don't have that pattern. Like it may be brand specific, but I haven't looked at that.
Right. And then the other question is more about the testing. So you said start off with 10 different ads, right? Now, is it 10 different images? Is it 10 different or 5 different images and 5 different ad copies? Or what do you recommend for the variants?
Yeah, and this is a relative recommendation, meaning each person listening is going to take this different. And for some of you, you're like, I have like 0 assets. It's going to take me so long to come up with like 10 assets. I'm like, sure, I want you to like challenge yourself, just like kind of do some research, go into Facebook groups, get some ideas, like post a question somewhere, like what kind of image would you post for this type of ad, just to like get that information. And for someone that is like, we already have a database, a folder of like hundreds of images, so I can come up with 20 easily. So it's all going to depend on the person, but specifically with the example of 10, and I would separate out into image testing and copy testing. So I would do like 5 variants that's copy testing. So this would be where it's one image, and let's say it's like some sort of sleep related product that the image of just like is of a pillow or whatever, and then like your product is on the pillow. Let's just say something like that. So that would be the same image in all of them, and then it would be 5 different headlines. So one is sleep better. Another one is like, why hasn't this been around before? Just kind of like different. So that's the copy testing, 5 different examples of copy in your headline. And then at the same time, you would have 5 other ads where it's just one headline that's the same across all 5. So it's like sleep better. And then you have 5 different ads, like each different one in a different ad.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That's cool. So, okay. So let's move on to the next step then. Once we pick the winner, what do we do after that?
Yeah. So once, again, there's 2 parts to this. Once you have your best image and your best copy, this is something I found out where you could mix your best winners together. So you take your best copy and your best image and you do them in one ad. And this is where we saw like this amplification effect, where we tested a whole bunch of copy and the click-through rate was anywhere between like 0.5% to like 2.5%. And then our images were between like, well, again, like 0.5% and like 3%. Usually images have more variety of like potentially getting higher click-through rates because they're like more visually stimulating. So again, the maximum was around like 3% on the image testing or the copy testing. But then we took our best headlines and our best images and combined them because the original test is just like some general headline and some general image that we chose. But with the best ones, that's where it goes even like 2 to 3 times higher. We had click-through rates over 10% by mixing those best ones, even though individually they were like 2 to 4%. So I would do that, and it depends how you do your first level, like how much variety you have. So I would just take those winners, combine them, and it doesn't mean like your top 1 ad and your top 1 copy. Like that might happen, but I would take like your top. So again, let's say you do like 20 or 30 variants. I would take like your top 5 copy and your top 5 images, combine them in different ways. So you might have, again, like 10 different ads and all kinds of combinations, but they're like the best ones. You narrow down a whole bunch of ones. If you're going with the example of like 10 total, I would choose like probably like your top 2 based on click-through rate. Like, are people engaging with them? So like your top 2 copy, your top 2 images, and then mix them in combination. So then you would, again, run that $5 per day, and you might know right away, like, did something just like shot up because there's like psychologically something happening is with the best copy and separately with the best images. And when you combine them, it's like, oh, wow, like we just found our winner. Right. So I would do that where you combine the best ones.
And then once you combine, is that when you start testing different audiences then? Or do you have to go like
no, not yet. First,
oh wow,
when you combine them, everything is the same as before. So that way, when you say like, oh, I just got 8% click-through rate, it's comparable to what you had before because you know the audience was the same and there actually is some sort of effect happening. So same as before, you just combine the winners and let it run and to see how the click-through rates are. Then you take your best ones from that, and it might be one. Usually it's like the top 10% of your ads. So you might have like one or two that are higher than the rest. That's when you go into the next testing. That's where you bring in audience testing and like different placement testing. And so again, it depends how complex you want to get. And this is where you start doing manual bidding and different strategies. There's like some tips I have, like you could try something right away, like a manual bidding strategy. Like it's complex, but there's a simple thing you can do where you have a relatively low daily budget, but you have a high manual bid, meaning there's like the option that I used to always choose before I knew Facebook ads. I'm like, all right, automatic bidding. Yeah. That's good enough for me. But do the manual bidding and just select a high bid, meaning like you're willing to pay like $200 for a conversion. Yeah. But your daily budget is like $20 or $50. So Facebook is never going to go above that. But it's kind of like there's a little loophole and it's still working. So like try that. Have a higher maximum bid that's way lower than your daily budget. So you could get like some instant wins that way.
Interesting.
Sorry, that was a little tangent, but that's like a takeaway right away. But that's when the that's probably
that's cool.
So yeah, testing, that's when it gets more complex into like audiences and like basically testing every factor, like audience, types of bidding you have, like the placement. After that is where, like at that stage and after that is when you're worrying about purchases, because now like you're getting clicks, they're cheaper clicks than you probably were getting before. People are seeing your ads. So now it's like, are you actually getting purchases? And let's say we're talking about websites right now because it's much easier to track. Like somebody's going to your website and then they purchase. You see that in Facebook. Let's say you're sending traffic to Amazon and like however you're tracking, like if purchases are happening. Again, like you're worrying about purchases at this stage. Before you're just worrying about click-throughs. Now you're like, all right, I just tested these 20 different ads with, like I added all kinds of audiences, like different placements. I have 20 ads. What are the best ones now? And you're making that decision based on purchases.
Wow. Okay. So you're not even worrying about purchases until the very end.
Yeah, initially. Yeah. And here's why, because if you're worried about purchases at the beginning, you're choosing purchase objective without even putting your best foot forward. You're going to spend more money because as soon as you choose the purchase objective, that's a setting in Facebook that tells Facebook charge more money because we're going to show higher quality visitors because we know these Facebook users are purchasing. Facebook is tracking the pixel on so many websites. They know which Facebook user purchases stuff or not based on other people's websites pixel. So when you choose the purchase conversion, Facebook is like, all right, let's charge this person the CPM, just cost per, just like a bunch of visitors, $50 or $100 because we know that person is probably going to purchase compared to like, all right, let me do the page post engagement or website click or kind of like lower quality conversion objectives. Facebook is going to charge you less money. So you're going to see that like the reach was higher when you're choosing those lower quality of conversions. But that's because Facebook also knows those people are less likely to buy. But that's where it's like psychology. It's like, are they at least clicking on your ad? And then when you narrow it down, then it's, all right, now I narrow down to like the ad where I drove down my costs. Now I want to tell Facebook, give me the purchase objective, charge me however much you want because now I actually care about those purchases. So if it's a higher quality visitor, it's worth it for me at this stage when you narrow down the ads that are at least visually working.
Right. Very interesting, man. So in terms of so you're driving traffic to where? Are you driving traffic to a landing page to collect their email addresses and then sending them an email or ManyChat? How does that funnel look like? Or is it straight to the landing page or straight to your website?
Yeah, and this is then it kind of like gets to the next level, which is different for every brand. And, like how many are like Amazon brands and ultimately your goal is to like amplify Amazon, at least initially, or like get the lower hanging fruits, or are you focusing on your website? And this is where the difference is between type of seller and your revenue level, where the answer might differ based on that. But this is where initially, and this is when we were at like the less than $1 million ranges, where we were testing all of these different funnels, like meaning, so actually on like the website, I have like different scenarios where like, here's how you could run a Facebook ad to amplify your Amazon listing. And if it's okay with you, I'm kind of like getting biased towards like Amazon brands. But usually like we're focused on our own website because we know we're getting more emails, we can communicate with them. So like right now, most of our ads is using like purchase objectives, and we're actually trying to get purchases on our website. And then we're getting couple hundred email subscribers every single day. And then we're thinking, all right, how do we repurpose them? Do we send them to Amazon? Do we send them to our rei.com listing? Like, are we sending them back to our website? So there's this testing phase where send them directly to your homepage, send them directly to your product page, send them to a landing page that's on your website, but it's like more targeted, not like just general homepage style, but like it's much more clear and simpler, like landing page, get them to do the next step of going to the product page. Then fourth option, send them to a landing page where you collect their email, but that landing page has to have a lot of curiosity behind it. It's like you're gonna get something by giving us this email. So whether it's a product announcement or an offer announcement or joining some sort of like exclusive Facebook group. So again, that's another option. Then another option, send them directly to Amazon, and you could like use different types of URLs. Is it to the search result page? So you're kind of testing there, and each one of those is a test. So before we're talking about like 10 copy variations or 10 image variations, you're applying that framework here as well, where there's a whole bunch of different funnel scenarios. One of the another scenario is like a ManyChat or some sort of a chatbot. Like that's a funnel. You're testing it relative to these other 5 that I mentioned, because everyone is having a different experience. And then when you have like 5 or 6 different scenarios funnels, like run all of them. And again, this has to be lower quality just so you could actually do the test. Meaning like go 80% way there, set up your landing page, like your homepage, your chatbot, like your different email campaign for like one of those tests, just to see which one right away is going to get somebody purchasing on like your Amazon or website. Because right away you're going to know, like, all right, the chatbot funnel is like working right away. Like, sure, we spend like more, like we're spending money, but that one is actually getting purchases, while the other ones like aren't getting purchases. This other method is getting some add to carts, so it has potential. Let's say you're sending people back to your website. So again, you're narrowing down really quickly. Same framework as before for ad testing. Now it's like funnel testing. Again, then once you narrow down to like 1 or 2, then you make it 95% quality or 100% quality, just like more resources into that one format. Because I get this question a lot, right? Like, so do you do like to an opt-in page and like this, like what's your marketing stack or your actual funnel? And it really does depend, because on the product and the type of consumer, what they're used to, and also the way, like maybe you're just better at, certain types of landing pages versus building like chatbot engaging sequences. So you kind of have to do all of them to see which one is going to work for you, but narrow down really fast. It's like, all right, this one had purchases add to carts. I'm going to exclude the other 4 options and then do just those 2. And this would require more budgets than the first testing, where it's like $5 per day.
Right.
This is where you have to see, all right, like my product, it costs $20. So like I have to spend, like ideally later on, it's like, all right, I want to spend like $10 at the most to get someone to purchase $20 product. But for this testing, you have to spend a little bit more. So it's like, I'm going to spend $100 in each of those tests to see which one got a $20 purchase. So then I know that I spent $500 in 5 different funnel tests, and only 1 or 2 of them had a purchase for the $20. So I'm totally losing money on that $500 test. But then, like all of a sudden, I'm turning off all of the other ones and then making that page better. And then all of my budget is now to that better one that actually I can start breaking even and then amplifying beyond that, so it's profitable.
That makes a lot of sense, man. So like based on your experience for Hero Clip, has there been one type of funnel that worked better for you guys, or like generally speaking?
Yeah, this is where it's been seasonal related depending on the holidays, meaning that when it's holidays, or we can do a sequence and amplifying Amazon. That's where sequences relevant for Amazon are more important, meaning like Q4 last year and Q4 this year, and during certain holiday periods where we're like ultimately sending people to Amazon, but it's coming from an ad that's going to a landing page, getting an email, and then following up after that. That's like one version, and that's a pretty common one, but you have to just have either a very simple page or a very curiosity, exclusivity, like early adopter type of page. Like, why would someone give their email? Like either that route or a simple route, meaning it's like here's the opt-in, like here's what you're gonna get, and that's it. Or like a really big discount. That's another route. It depends on you if you want to go that route or not. Like we usually don't do discounts more than like 20 or 30%. And like so it's like that simple route, and then we have the email, and then that's going to Amazon. And then the other route is to our website, where we're worried about just getting the purchase. Like, is somebody buying from an ad on our website? And that's where we were able to figure out where our revenue from the purchase, like initially, covers our ad spend and like our COGS and our shipping. Again, it's like at that level where it's like sometimes not profitable, sometimes it's like barely like breaking even, but it's like direct purchases from our website from a Facebook ad. And as we're doing that, we're getting emails on our exit intent pop-up. We're using Wheelio or like other ways where you're getting emails, and then we leverage those emails sending to Amazon. But our goal isn't getting emails in that scenario. It's more about getting that like close to break-even sale on the ad like initially, and then 10 to 20% of the rest of our sales are coming in the next day, or we're able to track they're going on Amazon and making the purchase. So then that happens like after that initial purchase, as long as we know we're like close to breaking even initially to make decisions, are we turning off the ad or not? And then the rest is kind of like bonus revenue that's happening like the next day, or like how we're using our email.
Mm-hmm. And for landing pages, like, is there one recommendation? And also for email follow-up, what do you guys use?
So for email follow-up, that's actually like not a strong suit for us. I think just because we focus so much on like getting purchases and getting the emails. It's like, all right, it's a bandwidth thing. All right, how do we make our emails good? So I don't have like best practices for email other than like than what's out there.
What tool do you guys use? Do you guys use Klaviyo or?
We use something we've been wanting to switch for like a year. We're on MailChimp, and
okay, so you don't recommend.
We're like so basic. We started using their tagging system, which is relatively new, and like some of their automations. Okay. So it's starting to get the route where it's like Klaviyo or like some other ones, which just like seem really good. But then again, it's like a day or a couple of days of like making that transition, and we just haven't done it. So we're just kind of like going with the basics. It's like we have our like weekly or bi-weekly newsletter of like always new content, and then also like a welcome sequence, which is like anywhere between only 2 or 3 emails depending on what we're doing. Again, it's not that it's like the best. There's ways of improving that. So like don't use that as an example. It's like 2 or 3 emails on our welcome sequence. Could definitely do better than that. But then when we have a certain promotion, we take our list of last holidays, it was like 15,000 subscribers. Now it's over 70,000. And then it's like, how do we use for very campaign specific? That's where, so if there is any strategy in email marketing that I figure out works, is that you have to lead up to your announcement. So don't just like randomly say like, oh, here's a sale, like go on Amazon purchase. It's always going to work better if you introduce it and then later like make that announcement. And when you introduce it, you could do like, all right, like we're going to have a big announcement. Like here, meanwhile, you can like shop or do something or join our exclusive group. But then stay tuned for, in 2 weeks or in 1 week to get the bigger announcement. Like when we do that, like just that bigger announcement is where we get more open rates, click-through rates, and actually like conversion rates usually on the purchase.
And what do you guys use for a landing page?
We use like 4 different things. Mainly, so we're on Shopify, and we use combination of Zipify pages and also Shogun. Kind of like depends for what reason. Okay. And then we use ClickFunnels as well.
Oh wow! You guys have to. Why 3? Like, they're not perfect. They all kind of work hand in hand, or how does it?
Yeah. So Zipify, it has a really nice just like product purchase integration. While Shogun, it has like you can build nicer pages, but that integration isn't as nice with Shopify. Okay. So like I like Zipify, kind of like leading from other pages to kind of make a transaction. While Shogun, it's a Shopify app. It's like we built like our FAQ page or like our like other pages on the website. We use Shogun for that because you just have more functionality and it's like drag and drop of like making the page look like really, really good. Not part of a funnel, but more about people visiting and good branding. And when like PR or like media or like buyers like look at our site, they kind of see those pages. And kind of like behind the scenes funnels, like ads pages, like those are Zipify. And then ClickFunnels, that's more well-won, so we can get a two comma club award. Building that up. That's actually the main reason. But yeah, it's just testing that platform where it has a different look to it, different simplicity of being able to like scale up like different ads and testing like so many different audiences duplicating. So it's like a combination of that.
Awesome. Well. Guys, it's been an hour. I mean, that was a lot of golden nuggets and practical advice, which is something that I really, really like. It's like stuff that is quantifiable, like 10 ads, 5 images. Like that's the type of stuff that can help us to take the next steps. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing that with us. And obviously through this interview, I can tell that you're actually like really passionate about helping others because you're not shy of like hiding any information, which I really, really appreciate. We'll take a couple of questions from the people that are still on, and then we can just like quickly introduce, where people can find you. I know you have a Facebook group, so I recommend everybody joining that, as well as you can like talk about your Zon Tracker, the tool, a little bit if you want. So we'll get a couple of questions. One of the questions we have is why not directly use a lookalike audience based on previous purchases of your Amazon buyers?
Yeah, so it sounds like this is for like one of the initial phases, and this is what I did. So meaning like when I tested this, I did a more extreme version of like the 10 images. I did like more images like for the testing. So I did very broad ones. It's like who likes sports and outdoors. Like that was my test. I also did a lookalike based off the purchases. Ultimately, that one did better. So if you have that data, use that from the beginning. As like you're testing like images. So awesome. But again, for the potentially many sellers that are in that range where like they don't have 100 purchases or 1,000 purchases worth of data for the lookalike, then just go based off they like sports and outdoors or they like REI, something general. So great question. If you have it, use that as your starting seed audience.
Awesome. And how many people do we need on the list to have a relevant lookalike audience, would you say, roughly?
Yeah, this is mixed. Because I'm thinking of like data and algorithms, like more is always better, meaning 2 is better than 1, like 10 is better than like 9. So it's like whatever you have, and it's going to get better once it's like over 1,000. That's for sure. I think there's like some numbers out there where like it depends how you're doing it. And Facebook has been changing this where like if you're like at a certain number, you can't even like create it. I think they're creating it. It's just like not effective. So that number may be like 100. But again, this is where my perspective is like the more the better. So just use what you have.
Okay, cool. And then what is your Facebook group?
Yeah.
How did you find
the name is old. It's like Facebook Funnels, Amazon. But the best way to find it is actually going to my Zon Tracker website, and then it's like in the footer.
Okay. Can you talk to us about Zon Tracker real quick?
Yeah. So it's zontrackerfb.com. That's zontrackerfb.com. So basically, through HeroClip, we found out that like through all of this testing, measuring stuff on our website is like really good. But on Amazon, we just don't have any data. That's really hard. This is what I hear so much, like running Facebook ads. But that was my wife.
Tell her we're almost done.
So we're running Facebook ads to Amazon, and hard to track, right? You can use affiliate codes, coupon codes, like the storefront. There's all of these ways you can measure. You can do offline conversion, like uploading to Facebook ads. There's like all of these different methods, but they're all time consuming, especially when you have more variants to test. So basically like found out this method through like our own need through HeroClip, where you can track your Amazon sales that are coming from Facebook ads. And it's just like this automation. It goes to the Amazon API and Facebook API. And in your Facebook ad manager, you see a column that says Amazon purchases. So this is really powerful because one, everything we're talking about before, how you're like running campaigns to your website or to Amazon or chatbots or like email marketing, like that's all going to be tracked. Even if you have an ad and let's say somebody doesn't click the ad, they're like, oh, hero clip. They just see, like, oh, like, what is that? That's interesting. They don't want to click the ad because some people don't like to click ads, but they open up a Google browser and they're like, hero clip, what is this? And then they see like REI listing, or they see a review by a blogger for us, or they like see the Amazon listing, or they open up Amazon browser and they're like, all right, hero clip, what is this thing? Then they see it, they purchase, and that data is sent back to Facebook Ad Manager. You see it in the column, but they never click the original ad. So if you're using the strategy like clicking like an affiliate link or them having to like use a coupon code, like that step has to happen for you to track it. So like this other method, it's just, there's some scenarios it's going to catch that the other methods won't catch. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we just like came up with it, and this is just kind of like a side project for me, separate from HeroClip, and it's just a bunch of users on it now, and it's opportunity for you to scale up your ads, and then like anything is going to work, whatever URL you want to use to Amazon or to your website. Or another thing is that's interesting is that let's say you're sending people to your Amazon listing, regardless how, from your website or from an ad or from a landing page, email, chatbot, whatever, and they don't buy, but then Amazon starts doing like their own retargeting at their own cost, and then people are purchasing, that data is going to be sent as well because they bought in your Amazon account, they saw an ad from your Facebook account, like that's going to appear in the column. So like really powerful. There's like hasn't really existed, and it just came out a couple months ago, and yeah, so could be helpful for some of your listeners.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. I'll include we actually have an affiliate code. I think it was set up through Jaden, but we'll put the code in the Facebook group, and for those of you guys who want to give it a try, at the end of the day, this is my take on Facebook. It's very powerful advertising platform. It's made a lot of people very rich. There's a lot of companies that are doing 7, 8, 9 figures that do not even have an Amazon platform, and all they use is Facebook and maybe a little bit of other traffic. So Facebook is definitely a tool, a very powerful tool that we can all leverage. And hey, if you know how to use this, you can crush any competitors, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, like what you said, is just start testing, start getting your feet wet. Like seriously, just start with $5 a day, maybe do 5 ads, 10 ads, and start testing. At the end of the day, like there's 15 guys who are still watching this. Take action today. Do not just be inspired by this interview and do more research. You have the opportunity to set up your ads today. So the best way to learn is by actually doing yourself, and through trials and errors. That's literally the best way to learn. So I encourage you guys, 15 of you guys, to set up your ads today. Let us know in the Facebook group. Join Yves' Facebook group, and he has a lot of content on there, like a lot of free videos that he posts, and check out those videos. And if you guys have any questions about Facebook ads, he's probably a better person to ask than I am. And that's pretty much it.
Well said, Tom. I have one comment to finish up, and it's actually relevant to a question by Eunice. And that's what I started off at the beginning, where it's kind of like a strategy for like marketers, entrepreneurs, like trying way too much stuff. My tip is that everything I was talking about before about like testing Facebook ads and kind of like start a bunch of like variants ads and then turn them off really quickly. Apply that to your like productivity, or you're like testing channels. So somebody asked about Google ads, like, is Google ads like good? So if you're like testing like affiliate marketing, like all of these different channels, take that approach where try a little bit of everything really fast, but like you just have to really fast stop using it if it's not working, because then it's like lags on, you're not optimizing it. Mm-hmm. So like before, like when I was getting into marketing, first year was so overwhelming because there's like so many ideas out there, testing something, like none of it is working, and you're still kind of doing this one, but take that approach like with the ads, where like test 10 variants, turn off the losers really fast. Test 10 channels, test strategies. You hear some new ideas about, in a Facebook group or a YouTube video, like test 5, 10 different things right away. Doesn't work, like turn it off. Do it like 80% quality just so you're testing it. And then you narrow down really fast to the ones that at least pointed you in the right direction that's relevant for your audience, your product, your personality, or your business situation. And like apply that to like your everyday or kind of like your weekly like marketing business role and strategy that you're doing.
That's the hack that you were talking to us at the beginning.
Yeah. Just like start
Try
something.
try something, but kill it fast if it's not working.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the kill it fast. Like usually people say like, yeah, try a bunch of things, but like having the, I don't know what the word is, the courage or whatever to just like stop it right away. But you have a relative comparison.
I love that. That's wow. That's awesome. That's very, very powerful. Okay. Well, guys, thank you for all 15 of you guys who are actually there's 13 because you and I, we don't count. But thank you all for watching this. I'm going to be posting the replay in the Facebook group, on the YouTube channel. If you guys want to go back, take some notes. That was awesome. And we're also starting a podcast. So I'm actually going to be putting this on the podcast as well. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Eve. I really appreciate it. Come down to Vancouver soon or come to Seattle and we should definitely grab a cup of coffee or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys, for listening.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.